What is up, my friends? You are very welcome along to tonight's late night agenda. So I was sitting here today and I thought to myself, what are we going to speak about tonight? What subject is it that I would like to bring to you guys and, of course, get your opinion on? And then it just kind of hit me like a light bulb moment. People have been asking me all week for my thoughts on the potential sale of the club and the potential new owners. So I thought I'd take a few minutes to kind of let you guys know what it is I'd be looking for in a new owner, what would worry me about a new owner, and what we can potentially expect from a new owner. So I'm going to go through it, and of course I want to know your thoughts in the comment section. Please do drop a like on the video and hit that subscribe button if you haven't done so already. Now, let me be clear from the start. I am one of these annoying fans who actually does want the morals of our football club to be upheld. I say annoying because there's many people out there who just keep screaming in our comments or screaming at me saying, money, all we need is money. I want a sugar daddy. I don't care if it's a state back fund. I want Liverpool to be out there competing and being able to spend with the likes of Manchester City or Newcastle or PSG or any other club that's got a state backed owner. I'm not one of those people. Yes, call me an idealist, call me a fantasist, whatever, but I do think that there is still some chance of saving the game. I see state-owned clubs as a race to the bottom in football, and I don't see it as a sustainable business model because it isn't a business model. It is a PR exercise for those countries to basically sports wash their way, in some cases, to making the country look a little bit more legit, making them look a little bit more in tune with the rest of the world's morals and beliefs through owning a prized asset like a European or an English football club. So I don't want state-backed ownership. I've always been very clear about that. Now, of course, every individual state will differ, and I'm not trying to tar every country with the same brush. I just don't feel it's a fair fight when you've got the wealth or potential wealth of an entire country up against an individual or an ownership group who are trying to treat Liverpool Football Club and run it like a sustainable business. So I do want the club to be sustainable, and let me explain why. I've been around long enough to look at football, to watch leagues around Europe, and to see owners who come in and buy football clubs as their little plaything because they're multi-billionaires and they just want something to keep them amused or to make themselves look good, and then get bored of it. Get bored of it and just run off into the sunset, start asset stripping the clubs, selling the best players, and just not putting money into it. Now, this could be for a whole host of reasons. It could be because, as I said, they just got bored of it. It could be that the funding or the access to their funding has been removed from them and they need to start selling it off. But either way, it would leave the club in a very precarious position. So give me FSG with a little bit more spending and I'd be very happy. And what do I mean by FSG with a little bit more spending? Well, look, I'm FSG out, for those of you who aren't aware, but I'm not an FSG out who won't admit, or an FSG out person who won't admit the many, 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 many good things that they've done. They've done a lot of good things since coming into the football club. They've certainly made us compete. They've certainly brought us to a much sounder financial footing. I mean, there's a story that does the rounds amongst Liverpool fans, and I'll take you back to 2005, to Istanbul. Would you believe me now if I said to you that the club store was closed the day after Liverpool Football Club won that European Cup in Istanbul? It is almost unthinkable, unfathomable, that in this day and age that would happen. But that was just 17 years ago. So that shows you how far Liverpool have come commercially and how much more aware they are of tapping into the supporter base around the world and getting funding from that way. I can't imagine now Liverpool, let's just say, going to win another European Cup and the next day the club stores being closed or the website being down because there's nobody to run or maintain it because they're all out enjoying themselves. Now, it was very nice of the club in 2005 to want to bring the fans over to celebrate or to be in Istanbul, but it was very short-sighted at the same time. So what I'm trying to say is, the good points of FSG have been that they've come in, they've given us Klopp, they've stabilised the club, they've revitalised Anfield and the surrounding area, they've given us a new training facility, and yes, they've made many mistakes, and some of those mistakes are the reason that I am in that FSGO camp. The main one, of course, being the Super League, which for me is unforgivable because it was selling our entire culture down the road for guaranteed revenue. And that's not what I like, or that's not what drew me to football. So look, a new owner comes in. What do I want? Well, I do want them to be of somewhat good moral standing. I certainly am naive enough to think that people who've accrued that much wealth probably don't have a few skeletons in their closet. Fact is, most people probably do. But that doesn't mean that we have to turn a blind eye to everything. There can be levels to this stuff, like everything else in life. So for me, I probably like the idea of a self-made businessman or businesswoman who comes in and has a genuine interest in the sport, or maybe has a background in owning other sports teams around the world. So that's kind of where I'm at with it. Like, I just don't want a state-backed fund, and I also don't want us to have a bottomless pot of cash, because that bottomless pot of cash, if that debt was ever recalled by the owner, could lead to the football club not being here in 50 years. And yet, again, I don't subscribe to this belief that FSG saved us from bankruptcy. I'm not that way inclined. Yes, I know the Royal Bank of Scotland called in the debt. And yes, I know Hicks and Gillette were struggling to refinance with the world the way it was back then. But make no bones about it. John W. Henry and FSG knew that they were buying an undervalued asset, and they knew that if they brought their expertise and their business savvy to the club, that they could leave it in a far healthier state and make themselves a lot of money when they move on. And I've been always okay with that, because they haven't been taking money out of the club every single season. Everything that's been generated has gone back into the club. So there's some good points, some bad points. The bad points, though, really bad. So a new owner comes in, and day one, I don't want he or she to come in and to just rip up everything that's been done, rip up the structure, and go about it in their own way. I want somebody to come in and, yes, understand that Jurgen Klopp needs to be backed in the market, because he needs probably, I'm not going to overstate this, 150 to 200 million is probably what Jurgen Klopp needs to go out there and get those top players, those 3 midfield players or 2 midfielders and an attacker that we need. Now, if you look back over our current owners, the one thing that I've consistently complained about is that all this time we've been generating more money, and we have generated a lot more money between Champions League qualification, of course, TV rights becoming higher, the stuff that we've won in prize money as well, and of course all the commercial deals that we've put in place. But all we keep hearing is that the wage bill is so high that we don't have any money left for transfers. And I think we've averaged something like 28 million pound net spend per year over the time that FSG have been here. And 7-8 years ago, maybe that wasn't so bad. But right now, you can't compete. You can't. And I know that debt in football can be a dirty word at times, but it's how that debt is structured. And FSG are just risk-averse owners. So I'd like somebody who maybe rolls the dice a little bit more. Do I think it's going to be a singular individual that comes and buys the club? I've read conflicting reports. I've read some people that believe wholeheartedly that it's going to be another investment fund, most likely from America, that comes in. And then I've read other people that suggest that maybe somebody like that self-made Indian billionaire could come in. I think he's, the 8th richest man in the world, something like that. So, truth is, there's merits to both. There really is, and each individual fan will have their own individual take on what he or she would like to see happen. For me, if it can be an owner that has a background in sports, that would be good. So Steve Ballmer, as an example, the guy who I think owns the LA Clippers. Now, the LA Clippers, apparently, my knowledge of NBA is shocking, but apparently haven't been that successful on the court. But they have been backed by Steve Ballmer, and he isn't shy about doing what it takes to try and get to where he wants to be. And that's the type of attitude that I'd like. Not stupidity, not coming in and just, overpaying for players. Continuing on the good work that FSG have done, but just adding that little sprinkling of talent, because a Bellingham and a Rice, let's just throw those 2 names out there for a second. If a new owner came in and gave Jurgen Klopp those players, and then Klopp maybe looked at the contract situations of Keita, Firmino, Oxlade-Chamberlain and Milner, and thought, okay, with that saving in wages, I can probably then address the forward issue. I think that's pretty much us there. We're not that far away. So, over to you. What is it that you guys want from a new Liverpool owner? Are you somebody who just wants a blank check? Or are you somebody who thinks that we can have the best of both worlds? We can have an owner that understands the history of the club, that understands the morals of most of the Liverpool fan base, and certainly understands that Liverpool Football Club is a little bit different in how we go about things and how we do things. I'm not saying we're better. I'm not saying we're worse. This isn't me trying to say Liverpool are elitist and everybody else is just copying or everybody else is terrible. I just feel like there's a certain thing that drew a lot of us to Liverpool. That thing could be quantifiable, it could be unquantifiable. For me, I just felt an affinity with the people, with the city, and of course it doesn't hurt that you've got a lot of emigration from Ireland, from Dublin over to Liverpool on that boat for Irish people who moved over there for a better life for their family, and that's kind of the reasons that drew me to the club. So I'd like to see owners that carry on the good work, that allow us to compete, but I don't want it to be a state-backed fund. That's probably the only line in the sand for me. I just don't want us being owned by a country that is using us for purposes that aren't even business related, really. That's my take on it. I'm sure that we'll go into the details of the new ownership group or individual as we move on. And for those of you, again, who are asking me about Cristiano Ronaldo and that situation, there will be a clip posted. I'm going to be touching on that subject tonight. So there will be a clip posted on that on the Anfield Agenda YouTube channel soon. I may not be uploading regularly over the next week or so. Can't remember if I talked about this at the start of the video or not, because honestly, this is take 3. So yeah, I'm getting some stuff done here at home. I don't have access to the space I usually use after today, so it'll probably be a bit sporadic. But again, I look forward to chatting with you guys soon. I really do look forward to reading your comments about the ownership situation and what it is you'd like. Thank you again for your time, my friends. I will chat to you real soon. Have yourselves a cracking week. Much love.